I'm joined by head coach Bryan Snyder from Washington Lee University Women's Volleyball. They were picked number one in this year's preseason poll. Coach, how are you doing today?
Great, JJ. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. We're going through some of these preseason interviews with coaches. I'm ready for games and matches to be played. I know you probably are too, right?
Yeah, part of me is ready. Part of me wishes we had 2 more weeks to practice. Right, like there's a lot of things we got to get straightened out, but we also need to go play some other people and see where we stand. So
Well, you've got a good team coming back from last season. I think that's where we'll start here. Three first teamers back on your squad. Talk a little bit about the experience of last year winning a second straight ODAC title. That first one, obviously, coming in that spring COVID campaign that we had. And then last year in a more traditional fall season that we had as we were getting back to normal, if you will. Talk a little bit about that and how you think it's going to impact your squad this year.
yeah, I think we've won 2 in a row, but they were extremely different journeys and circumstances. I think the one in the spring, literally winning a championship was not a goal for us. We didn't even talk about it until the last match of the season when we were in the ODAC Championship. Like we just focused on staying healthy and getting to the next match. And so, very, very unique that year. We weren't practicing very frequently. We were only practicing like 2 days a week. It was very contrasting to pretty much every other season I've had, and very much a contrast to last fall. So last fall was a little bit more, like you said, of a normal and a natural progression. We lost a few matches early in the year and felt like we improved a lot throughout the year and played some of our best volleyball late in the season, which was fortunate for us that it lined up during the ODAC tournament that we were able to do that. So definitely two different journeys that ended in the same outcome. I don't know how either of them are going to really impact us this year because we're just really going to be a very different team
Mm-hmm.
this year. We have 10 returning players and 8 new players. So we're almost 50
Wow.
50. And so we're not all on the same page in the gym right now. And that's to be expected. Just we have some new people that are learning new things and older players who are trying to help them learn. But then that makes them a little hesitant from time to time as well. So we'll see. I think, I'm excited about our potential. I think we have a challenging schedule in front of us that will give us opportunities to play at a high level and hopefully be prepared to be competitive once the ODAC tournament rolls around again in November.
You talked about kind of that 50-50 split you have right now. Some of the returning players you have a good base with the returning player of the year as an outside. You've got a first team setter, first team libero back a little bit. But one place that maybe at least on paper is the middle of your defense there at the net. You've graduated some really good players over the last couple of years. Talk a little bit about what you see from each of those spots, but specifically, what's the plan for that middle defense area?
Yeah, we feel good about the players we have coming back. We do have a lot of experience, and uh, multiple players who play at a high level have performed very well. But every year is a little different, and that I
Mm-hmm.
always approach it that way. I never really look to just plug a hole. It's all about evaluating what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and then let's design a system that allows us to put our best players on the floor, as much as possible. So yeah, definitely, losing Courtney and Katie over the last couple of years, they both played a lot. Both were very, very effective players for us. But we have some other players coming back who are a little older and experienced, and we have a couple of freshmen as well. So trying to figure out who's going to step into those roles and how we need to use them best, and whether that's giving them more swings or fewer swings, or a less complex blocking scheme, or whatever matches up with their capabilities and their strengths and weaknesses. That's what we need to play to in the short term, and over the long term, we need to help them get better at all those areas. So again, hopefully they are better as individuals and we are better as a team in late October, November.
Well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, as they say, with 18 ODAC titles under your belt, more than 600 wins. You've been able to deal with any type of returning program you have, whether you have a lot of players or not. So I think we can let that one play out. But you've done it in a pretty good league, an ever improving league here with the ODAC, and that takes another tick up, not just in the amount of returning talent, as you and I talked before we hopped on here, that only one player is missing from last year's first team. But then you also add an Averett University team to the mix that is a really good program, and they're going to be number 4 in the preseason poll. Talk a little about what you see from the ODAC this year, but specifically get into what does Averett bring to the table from a competition perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been saying this for the last 8 to 10 years, but every year the league gets a little bit better, a little bit deeper, a little bit stronger. Like seeing a quote unquote upset in the quarterfinals doesn't shock anybody anymore, because everybody is able to beat pretty much anybody else. So that's really not going to be any different. And every one of those top programs, has had consistency now with their coaching for a while. Even though Virginia Wesleyan has a new coach, Carissa has been working with that group for several years as an assistant coach. So, like, that's something that we didn't see as much earlier in my career. There was a lot of turnover in head coaches. So that continuity, I think, really helps all those programs develop and just continue to get a little bit better each year, as their cultures get established and older players are helping to train the newer players. Specifically as it goes to Averett, I mean, they've been someone we've played as an out-of-conference team every year, I think, of my career. And, they've beaten us a number of times, including last year. So they're a very good team. Olivia has good familiarity with the ODAC from her playing days as well as, coaching at Ferrum. So, I think they're certainly someone who's going to be in the mix. They're going to be very competitive with everyone. They always have a very deep team, a lot of great attackers, play very aggressive. So, they're not going to be intimidated by anybody just because they're coming into a new league. They'll be competitive and ready to go, I'm sure.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to seeing everybody get out there. I happen to be able to take in a little bit of a practice. We're doing some training there, so I got an idea what to see from you guys, but looking forward to get you out there in full match situations. Thanks for joining me today, Coach.
Yeah, of course. Can't wait to get the season started, and thanks so much for all you do, JJ.